Good morning, everybody. Let's get started. 10 o'clock. Start right on time. I hope everyone's having a great start to their morning thus far. It is Wednesday, tomorrow St. Patrick's Day, so I like to see some energy in the crowd. If you're new here, I'd like to start why and explain why we offer the opportunities such as Leadership Live. So at Rosewood, our why is to multiply the blessings and opportunities that have been put into our trust. And allowing our employees to better themselves through Leadership Live is one of those many ways that we achieve this purpose. So today we wrap up quarter one. So if you missed January's or February session, please go back, watch them. You can find those links on YouTube for the ProVantage channel, or you can look back into the Leadership Live email that we blasted earlier this week or the one we blasted this morning. And also, if you can't find them, just reach out to marketing and we can help you as well. Don't forget, after watching those, watching back the YouTube, the videos, the sessions, that there are going to be 3 questions at the end. Answers these questions, email marketing with the answers, and you'll get credit, which will get you your pin, your first pin. We're wrapping that up. Meredith created a really cool design. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I want to tell you guys, but I thought the design was really cool. So y'all we'll see that pretty soon here. So here to kick off March Leadership Live is the one and only Kevin Carr. He's an original to Leadership Live. He has a lot to offer. In fact, he was once a guest when it used to be called ProVU. I think Dr. Farrar said about 5-6 years ago, he was on Leadership Live. So great to have him back. Kevin is a 20-year sports business and professional development executive. He is an acclaimed award-winning transition expert, author, leadership coach, and keynote speaker. And he's also the founder, CEO, and principal of Pro2 CEO. So Kevin, it's great to have you this morning. The floor is yours.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Hey, everybody. What's going on? High five all over the place, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good day, good evening. All 5 of your companies, there's so many. I'm going to try to name them. Help me out. ProVantage, IDS, Cruxos, Southern Concepts, and who knows the last one, Pinmark. Gotcha. All right, cool. So what I'm here to do today is really share. This is actually your session. It's not mine. I've had the privilege and honor to be blessed to be in front of you all. And I can't thank my colleague for many years, Dr. Ed Fubar with Campbell University. And again, thanks for having me back. The ProVantage brand has grown. Man, when it was first, there was 1 and now there's 5. I'm a former NBA executive. I feel like you guys have so much growth. You're like growing like the NBA teams. You got a league, a team over here everywhere. So congratulations to being part of a building business, particularly in these times. I want to share with you that this time is yours. I want you to feel that you can call and put in the chat or ask a question. I know there'll be a Q&A period, so if you want to save it to that. But I do not want silence, okay? So I want to make a deal with you. I'm going to give you my best if you'll give me your best. I know it's a lot of things going on, your phone, maybe you're at home, kids are on spring break like mine. Like, look, there's plenty of distraction, but I'm laser focused on you guys, and I want you to know that if this is my last time talking to you in a couple of years, I want it to stick. I want at least one thing. Promise me you'll write down one thing that will work for you. I'm sharing with you, you're talking to someone who has had the privilege and honor to be a first generation ever graduate from my family. I grew up single parent. My dad left us very early. I didn't use any of that as an excuse, any of that. I willed myself to try to get to college. I went to college on a hope and a prayer with $400 in my pocket. And I literally didn't know whether I would get financial aid. I went with the mindset that I was going to be successful. So I want you to know that if you never doubt the route, you can get there. I knew I was on the right route. I knew I was. I just never doubted it. I didn't know exactly where I'd end, but man, going from 2 major universities, a private company that I started, going back into sports and working for the NBA. That's right. They drafted me from the colleges. I was working as a professional, not a player. I got drafted from a college to come work for them in New York City and work for them for 13 years. And then when I was at the NBA for 13 years, in all transparency, the family, it wasn't as balanced. So I decided to take the leap and start a company similar to like what you guys have started and built it quadruple, 5 times over. I'm just being very real with you to let you know you have a real person behind you who believed that even after working at an MBA, I could recreate the life that I wanted. And I have a 7-year company now, Pro to CEO. And I believe that we try to help people realize that you are the CEO of the position that you're in. If you're a husband, if you're a dad, if you're an employee at a company, whether you're working staff or you are a 30-year person, you've been there 6 weeks or you've been there 3 decades, you own that lane that they hire. You are the CEO of that space. So Pro to CEO teaches transformation, transformative thinking. I want you to think that whatever they've asked you to do in the 5 companies, own that lane and dominate the role. Slam dunk, whatever you do, kick a goal, score a touchdown, go hard in the paint, okay? So I'm a sports guy, so I use a little motif. Don't feel intimidated by that. I just want you to know I'm sharing today a concept we created years ago called the 9 Medallions. I wanted to equip my players with a value-centered leadership concept that would allow them to be leaders if they played a year in college or they played a year in the NBA, whether they played 10 years, whether they left the NBA and didn't feel completely whole. How could I make them feel that they were successful? And this is what I came up with, the 9 Medallions. It is a visual that allows us to show people how to be a medalist in your own world, in your own life. So let's move on with the slides. The first one is the 9 Medallions slide. It is a 9 value-centric causality empowerment model. What do I mean by causality? We believe that if you put all the 9 together, they spell out champions. It's an easy way to remember it. CHAMPIONS, all right? You put it all together in a 9-sided object. It's like a medal, but we call it a nonagon. And those 9 sides each have a slice of the pie. So we're not going to give you everything today because I want to possibly come back, right? But at the same time, we want to give you enough where you can chew on and sort of put in your tool chest. So this 9 Medallions model, easy to remember, just remember champions, and you're halfway there, okay? Next slide. Within that, how does it work? We believe the 9 values are time tested. They're true. They're literally never change. The things that I'm going to talk about, you've probably even heard before. Confidence, you've heard humility before. You just haven't heard the way in which we deliver at Pro to CEO and the way I created it for clients to benefit from. First, I had to get really clear, what do you value? So the values in this, we believe, are towards consistent value performance. We believe in a society as today, you can go any kind of way. You're following people, you're trying to be an influencer, there's so much content being pushed. We believe, what do you value? What are you about? I'm not really trying to follow everybody. If I had to guide myself as the CEO of my life, these medallions we believe are the most fundamental. So we created these 9 that we thought would not waver in times of good or bad. So the values themselves, we believe, are the foundation. Second part is the traits. What kinds of things sort of that it creates in you to allow you to be more like a medalist, more successful, be at the top of your game, a top 10%er, top 20%er. We believe like this can help you get in that space. We believe that's where the good stuff is. If you achieve and really try to get in that top 20% of any and everything that you do. The next thing is the actions. What is it really look like when you're really using these. So I'm going to break that down and give you some strategies and some actions around it so you know what it looks like and how do you do it, all right? And then the outcomes we believe are high performing. We literally want to perform on another level when you put these in your own day-to-day work. So that is it. We sort of continue with this model of going around and everything feeds on each other. But we intrinsically believe it's a value-based life leadership approach with these medallions. And these are the steps sort of that give you what the model kind of in a working fashion is like. So as I'm going along, feel free to throw a question out. Don't hesitate, put it in the chat. We'll get to it and go from there. And think about, you might have a question that might help someone else. So don't think that it's just for me. You could be helping the entire community grow and have more chemistry because you put out something that might help the entire organization. So be a leader, and we're going to jump right into the content now. Next slide. So we believe that they work on focus areas. We think it'll help your personal growth, your decisions, your customer relations, your relationships, even your finances and career attainment. The one thing that we all are looking to possibly move up wherever we are. So this has a sort of six-pronged approach that is not just limited to work. It helps in other areas if you will apply it there. Next slide. So let's break down the first one. And like I said, I'm not going through all of them. I'm going to try to be focused on the ones after talking with your leaders that we thought were really important. Confidence. Its ability to assess a situation we're faced with and fully trust the outcome is going to be successful, even though it's unknown. It's like when you don't know how a certain thing will unfold, but you go into it with boldness that you will handle the circumstances with tenacity and maximum effort because you're optimistic that things will go your way. It's really jumping in, both hands, feet, and saying, look, I don't know exactly how this is going to unfold, but I believe, like I told you, going to college, I believed it was going to work out, and it did. And sometimes we have these phobias about the work that we do. Look, they put me on this assignment. I don't exactly know how it's going to work out, but they've trained me well enough. I believe we're going to do a great job. I'm in another part of the world or country, and I'm not sure where I'm at. I'm confident that I'll find what I need there, and I'll be able to have a good outcome for the company and the client. So just know that confidence works like that. You have to have this willingness to know that you're stepping into the deep abyss, jumping in, not just putting the pinky toe in the water, putting the full body immersion and going hard to make sure that you really are okay. And this happens to a lot of us. We kind of hit the pause on the confidence piece because of the unknown. I want you to embrace that. Even if it's unknown, going into it with the confidence that you need really helps you be better at approaching things that you're not familiar with. If you hit this confidence definition, it has really practical sides to it, and I think it can help you. Next slide. So let's break it down. It's a lot of content on here, but I've highlighted some things that I think allow you to kind of absorb it and go a little bit faster with it. First, the actions. What are the actions that indicate you're acting with confidence? Decisions. You trust that you're going to make this decision and you're going to be able to do it. Like you just have a sense of like, this is what I know. This is the best I can do in the circumstances based on what I know. I'm making it a decision. So moving through decisions, all of us have this perfectionism in us, right? We want it to be perfect. And because it's not perfect, we don't want to move forward. I'm saying, look, it is now time. It is go time. Confident people realize they don't have all the answers. They go with the best knowledge they had. So that's part of it. You face a difficult situation without fear or harm or failure. Like sometimes you go into it knowing that you may not be successful, but you face that anyway because you want to be confident. Act with promptness, sound judgment when faced with urgent decisions, difficult situation. Who hasn't had a customer in their grill talking to them, or who hasn't delivered something on the promptness, and you have to confront that issue. We all have. So knowing that even that's part of it, that if you don't get where you want to be in the beginning and you get to the deadline and you're not quite there, you man up or be facing that issue knowing that it's okay. And then display heart and courage in turbulent situations in the moment of battle or conflict. And those are like obviously, indicators of when you're in the heat of the moment, when you're in your work, you still have the courage to go into it. So what are the strategies? Really, like, I'm giving you tips here. These are tips. Like, one person, one thing can't really give you total confidence. You have to build it. So a lot of us sometimes we're looking for other people to give us the answers sometimes. What I'm saying is you have to be a student of this. You have to really dig in and say, what is it about me that gives me angst or pause to not go all the way in and learn what I need to learn to do the job well. Sometimes we slow our own pace because we're depending on other people. And I'm saying confident people do the homework. They do their back of house stuff to make sure that they've got all their equipment, all their tools, all their knowledge, all the sort of particulars, directions, details, and they don't rely on everybody else to give it to them. If you're a team member and you're part of a team, you certainly sometimes are dependent to own that space that you have, and you have to be able to have that, and you can't always depend on someone else. So make sure you are confident in what you have. Also, number 2 is determine the areas where you lack confidence and deal with them head on. If you're not as strong and you don't have as much confidence in a space, don't think that you have to know it all. Sometimes you want to pull on different information, different things that you can go back to the home office and call people and say, hey, I don't quite know this. I need help with this. That's important to be able to do that. So you know that you can, have a team to rely on. So you're not just out here. And then being able to put a strategy into place to deal with your lack of confidence and build on it. So if you're finding yourself consistently in a mode of like uncertainty, we got to get some things down that keep you from not being able to get there. And you have to work on those things. You have to remind yourself in going into jobs. How many people have done this? Honestly, when I have success for me, when we go into a job, if I do these things, I'm mostly successful. Most people don't write that down. They just say, hey, this is going to work out. They go forward. What I'm saying to you, one of the strategies is to say, when we're operating at an extremely high level in one of these 5 companies, what do we do when we're doing that? What are the 5 or 10 things that always get done really well when we're knocking it out of the park? If you don't have that, you should begin to write that down, because what's going to happen, it's a good check system for you to like, did we do this? Did we do that? And that's why we're not successful. Oh, we left a step out. What I'm saying is understand how to put that in place, and that'll give you the confidence. So when you go to a new location, wherever it is, you're good. All right. So understand it takes time also to develop and make a decision to put into necessary work. It may take time to develop this. If you're brand new and you don't necessarily know, it may take a little time to figure out how to gain this confidence. Not an overnight thing. It's through repetition and consistency that you get there. And then commit to confidence will be considered, part of your life. You want to use it wherever you go. This isn't just a workplace thing here. Where are you not confident in your personal? This is about growing you not only as a professional, but also an individual. What about your relationships? What about, an organization or teams that you are involved in outside of work? You can use this there too. So don't limit yourself. The confidence is one of the main things. It's like being able to know that you have it within you to be able to operate with a little bit higher level if you put a few of these in place. So that is the confidence medallions. Any questions as we go through here? If not, save it to the end. We certainly will get back to that. But I want to be, yes.
Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Nicolay, one thing I'd like to mention too is as you grow in expertise and skill set, your confidence will naturally get higher. But the one thing that you have to be very careful of is you don't want to have confidence, and then if somebody, your senior, comes to you and says, "Hey, your thought process was a bit askew on this one," to taint it with arrogance. You have to learn to be humble as well. So even though you work very, very hard to make those sound judgments and use good business decision making techniques to convey that with confidence, when you are approached with something that was wrong, just remember that, there's different ways of looking at things, and sometimes you are going to be wrong, and it's okay to still be confident, but also bring that humbleness to it as well.
Oh, well said. Well said. Anybody else on that? I got a little bit to add, but I want to hear from you all. Let's jump in. Let's be teammates. Let's share. We got a moment here. So don't think that this is just me talking, but well said. Somebody put in the chat, well said. I heard this before, and you might want to write this down. Confidence is good, but don't be so confident that you become cocky and arrogant. That certainly turns people off. So why it's important to have confidence, but if you push it too hard and don't want to embrace some of the feedback, then people will see, well, he's a little, or she's a little arrogant or a little cocky, and won't isn't as good as a receiver as a giver. I want you to be able to keep that in mind. Very, very well said. The next one really reinforces what you just put out there too. So let's move to the next medallion. Humility. It is very much remember I told you these work together, and this is why this one really goes from confidence, because now it creates the balance. What you will hear here in this definition really complements what was just asked. And someone said, can you talk more about the balance between having confidence, displaying humility? This is where we'll get a little bit more. Keeping your ego in check, even when you've reached a respectable level of personal wealth, status, fame, recognition, by remaining humble. Carrying out this mentality by grounding yourself and being thankful and appreciative of all you have, because life is precious, life can change, moment of notice. Possess a gratitude attitude in all that you have and what you do for others. When you have this not too high and not too low mindset, you're operating in good humility, because you can receive things from people up high. If you're someone up here, you can certainly receive information from people who might not be as on that same level. And the same thing, people here may have feedback coming down to them. You still receive it in a way. A lot of times we get beside ourselves saying, who is she to tell me what to do? Who is he? He hasn't been here as long, and he's telling me, why can't someone give you some positive feedback? As long as it's constructive, we have to remain respectful, and we have to give constructive feedback. So when you give feedback, especially if you're trying to ask someone to absorb something, take in that you're giving them, saying, hey, I'd like to invite you to consider. That is a key word, all right? That's a tip here. Invite you to consider. That is a good way to engage someone, saying, hey, I'd like to invite you to consider. Probably not heard that. It's a very nice, professional, sort of easier way to get into something with someone and say, hey, I saw it like this. I don't know if you saw that, but I think it could work better for us and the whole team if we did it like that. I just want you to consider that. What do you think? And just pause. And hopefully they get it. So let's get into sort of the actions and strategies, because I'm jumping ahead of myself. I'm getting excited about this part here. So let's next slide. So actions when indicates you're acting with humility. You act without self-interest, prejudice, or favoritism when transacting business or personal affairs. You literally don't have any beef. You don't have any animosity. You don't have any ill will. You just literally are there to take in because you believe it could be useful to you. How many people want to be able to receive information better from people? I do. Sometimes I get a little beside myself and say, I don't know if I could take that, but I want you to know that you can. Next is act in an authentic manner, so your words and actions are free from hypocrisy. I don't think anyone can get mad at you if you're saying something and then in the way in which you say it, you're very, very careful to say it. I think people jump the gun and they say, well, did you hear how she talked to me? You hear how he talked to me? I want you to know that if you go in with authenticity, that you meant it for the right reasons, you didn't launch in and literally kind of insult them with your tone and your voice inflection. You meant to kind of say it to beat them down or to get their attention. You want to say it in a way that people will receive it well. So keep that in mind. And display a spirit or giving spirit when dealing with others, especially when someone has an unmet need. Humility, meaning like giving a sense of energy towards that when someone doesn't quite have it, you might be able to share something with them and just say, don't hold it to yourself. So sometimes we might know something and we let somebody run into the brick wall. I'm saying have a spirit that when someone has an unmet need, they don't know what they know, they're brand new to the team, share. Give them a little something. So, hey, man, I want you to consider this and give them a little bit there. Remain teachable. Teachable. Realize that you don't know it all. I don't know it all. We don't know it all. Understand that you don't always have to be seen and heard. Sometimes you can just be heard, and it's okay. Sometimes you can just be seen. Know that the background, whole role holds importance. Like sometimes we're not always out front. When I worked at the NBA, I worked at the draft. When you saw the players get drafted, people are screaming for the players. Guess what? I was behind the scenes. I was the guy behind the guy, handing them the cap before they got to the stage and walked to see the commissioner. I did that for almost 14 years in a row. Sometimes somebody would say, I see you, Kevin Carr. You're behind the scenes, just helping those guys do great things. Sometimes we're not always out front. It's okay to be in the back sometimes. It depends. Some people don't like to always be out front. I liked coaching and developing people from where I sat. Sometimes I had to be out front, sometimes not. And it's okay. Recognize your faults and limitations. These are some of the actions and accept them and learn from future improvements and never lose sight of the blessings and stumble over obstacles around the way. So the strategies is try not to compare your success to the achievement of others. Man, I'm going to tell you this one right here helps humility. It's called the snare of compare, meaning we compare ourselves to other people. And I don't have what they have up there. So that enables your humility to function properly. You don't have it when you're always comparing or trying to keep up with the Joneses. Don't worry about the Joneses. Let them tend to their grass. Your grass is over here. Don't worry about if it's a little greener over there. You have what you have and be really okay with it because each person walks an individual path, all right? With humility, try to celebrate. Try to give the accomplishments of your colleague. Pat them on the back, at a girl, at a boy. And in other words, it's okay to cheer for your teammates when you're out there on the road. It's okay to be supportive of someone else. It's okay to give them some accolades. I'm not getting it. I will say this, one of the most challenging, and this is for Vantage Senior Leadership, one of the most challenging things we do in the data collection of my company is one of the top things employees say is, hey, we don't always feel appreciated. So I will say this right here, I don't see this in a lot of companies. So this is a move to help give you personal growth. This should be celebrated and appreciated. You take away one or two things from this, this is a great thing that happens. And this is an act of kindness and an act of goodness. And you should be, as part of leadership, applauded for this. Because some of the best companies in the world, I've worked with them, Prudential, the New York Stock Exchange, College Football Hall of Fame, the Lakers, they're not doing this, all right? So this is a good move. So kudos to you guys. Number 2, seek guidance from various sources. Try not to assume that you know it all. It's okay to get information from other people. That's an act of humility. Understand that other people have worthwhile information as well. And when you face conflict, remain thoughtful. Try not to remain hateful. Try to not have so much pride that you can't unloose yourself and learn something. Sometimes we get so prideful. We don't want to say anything to anybody, and you're not going to talk to them when you work with them. Come on. That doesn't necessarily get the job done. So don't waste so much energy on being negative. It takes so much energy to hold animosity, and it makes you feel overall stress. It takes your stress level. We don't want that. We want people to be even keeled and ready to go on their best, to give their best. And then lastly, when you do achieve strides and achievements, think about how you can positively affect others, okay? You always hear about somebody gets an award and they give their teammates as much accolades as the team that helped to get this. That's such an act of kindness. We wouldn't be here without so many people giving of themselves. So it teaches you to build stronger networks, communities, and not just a stronger you when you have humility. Teach other people how to have it when you give it yourself. To try to be the person who extends the humility towards others and see if it comes back to you. All right. Any questions on that? That's hard to do in the workplace, to have humility, because everybody wants to get to the top. I realize that. Questions, feedback? Let's go. Keep going. Next one is attitude. Displaying your inside on the outside for all others to view how you internally handle adversity or success with dignity or disgust. Do you argue? Do you fly off the handle when you don't get your way? That's attitude, man. That's a bad attitude. That guy or that lady has a bad attitude when things don't go her way. Oh, she's great when everything is good. They have a great attitude when it's great, but how are you when things aren't handled with, the utmost? Do you fly off? Look, no one else can supply a positive attitude for your life except you. And because trueness, happiness really begins and ends from within. So if you come in, you say, man, this traffic sucks, and that's the way, that's why I'm late. Or you can say, look, traffic, it is what it is around here. It delayed me. Look, I'm going to try to be on time next time. It's all about how you see it, So for me, you see that even within the medallion, half full or half empty. Look at that little model in there. That's specifically operating on a more fullness, positive attitude. The next slide. So attitude is in terms of its actions. I want you to know that when it's in action, you affirm yourself when you feel like you're getting discouraged. Say, it's okay. Once you take a time out. You ever hear people say, count to 10? That's why, because the next thing that come out could impact how relationships could go on the job or be able to get your job done. So you want to calm down or have some level of, look, if I do this, it's going to show my attitude is not supportive of the team. So, really work on what is the right balance for you to come back. Come back with a super negative attitude or come out with an attitude of, look, this isn't going well. How do we make sure it goes well? Like, I'm confident in my response to you that, look, I'm trying to have a level of humility responding to you. So my attitude may not feel as friendly. And sometimes you got to have a little bit of feeling behind it so people know, right now his attitude isn't good because something went wrong. But what we don't want to do is go off totally, and then we can't get back on the rails and get going down the field here. So take care of yourself so that you are mentally, emotionally balanced enough to to tackle the bumps in the road. Look, there are going to be hiccups along the way. And if everybody has a negative attitude when things don't go our way, the projects don't move as efficiently and effectively for you to get through. They don't move well for the client, customer, and then that can create impact for the business. So we always want to be mindful that this can be, hurtful and impact us. So keep that in mind. And then view authority as great leadership and don't look at it as sometimes we don't give our leaders the chance to say, look, they're in that position because perhaps they've developed that skill set and that's where they should be. Always come into it with a positive attitude that my leaders are good. Our leaders are trying to do the best they can. Instead of saying our leaders are not this. Our leaders are not that. Sometimes it's a positive to affirm people and to have a sense of that versus forecasting a negative. Now, I know that's hard to do, but I want you to know that everybody in organizations deal with authority and have to answer to people. And the best way I know to deal with that is to go in a spirit of positivity with that person's in that place for a reason. And I'm going to support that and be as positive about that as I can. And then smile, smile, right? Be positive as you can when you're doing your work. Have a real, it shows the world that you're positive about yourself, right? And certainly keeping that level of it really is hard to do, especially when you're out on the road, you're in new places. But if you can say, hey, this is a new experience, I've never had this before, this can be positive. So look, the strategy is to seek out and build relationships with people who know more or have more than you, or who can help you, create tactics, strategies that help you face challenges. Like if you ain't known as someone who has a little bit of, yes, a lot of people are having really positive comments in the chat here. I like that. And then, really try to build with people, try to build and find those people with the right attitude in the company, in the organization. And if you know someone who hasn't, extend opportunities to try to help grow them. Maybe you could be a mentor to someone. Maybe you need to be mentored. I was able to grow a lot faster in the company when I had a great mentor at the level that was a little higher than me, and he helped me see some things I couldn't say. I humbled myself. I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. He said, you have a great attitude about wanting to learn. I think you're going to go far in this company if you keep that attitude. A lot of us don't want to extend ourselves and say, hey, I need something from someone else. Could you help me? Like, to me, that is a sign of you realizing that you don't know it all and you want to display a good attitude towards someone else who could possibly help you get to a higher level. So try to do that. Number 2, spend time alone sometimes with a hobby to display that, you're working on your mental health. And I'll talk about that a little bit. But having a good outlook on other things helps you keep a good attitude at work. Maybe work isn't going well, but what you're doing outside of work sometimes will help you keep a positive attitude. My family is very important. I've been married 24 years. Like, sometimes work isn't going well, but I look forward to picking up my kids on Tuesday and Thursday. My wife and I switch days. And that keeps me up, seeing them in their activities. Me, I'm a car guy. I like having some other things to look forward to on the weekend. I like cars and coffee. Like, who would know that? Not many. But those things keep me with a positive attitude, helps me keep balance. I'm a writer. I have a book. It's my first book. This is my second book coming. Like, these things keep my attitude, and hobbies keep me going, keeping me flowing, understanding certain things about myself that keep me a positive person all the time. So I'm just giving you things to sort of help you keep a great attitude. Sometimes work can't always be amazing. I'm sure it is in ProVantage and all your companies, but sometimes there might be a bump in the road. You got other things, so I'm asking you to work on those. And then, always speak affirmations and positivity. I've got 1 or 2 quotes. If you don't have 1 or 2 quotes, one of the tricks I will tell you is if you hear something, put it in your notes section of your phone. I have a rolling list of some of the best things I've ever heard, and I put a little section in my phone, in my notes. I have an iPhone, and it just allows me to keep up with some of the best things. One of the things I heard one of your leaders say, and I wrote it down, and it was Houston. He said, look, we work off of ACE mentality, attitude, concentration, effort. Look, that to me stuck with me, and I wrote it down, and it's in my quote. Thanks, Houston, for that. Those are things that when I hear it, so I have lots of things to keep me affirmed in a positive mindset. All right, got it? Next slide. Next is mental toughness. Man, we are living in some challenging times. And all I can tell you is that one of the best things I ever did to save my marriage and to save myself was to go get some counseling when I was having a tough time in New York City, trying to become this big time executive. I was a manager at the time. And if I didn't make that move, I probably wouldn't be here today talking to you about this. And what I mean by that is that I wasn't as mentally tough. And I had my own stuff I had worked on and I wasn't following it. So I'm talking to this one, I'm talking to somebody here about really paying attention here, because we're seeing all kinds of stuff in our society where people are making decisions in a vacuum by themselves. And I don't want you to do that. What I'm here to encourage is an experienced professional. I went for the first time by myself. I didn't go with my wife. I went by myself to get mentally strong. And then we went together. And then I kept going. And guess what came out of that? I hired an executive coach for myself to help me get better in the workplace. I literally spent my own money to get someone to coach me to be excellent. Singers have voice coaches. Athletes have trainers. I wanted to be better, stronger mentally, so I went out and got an executive coach. So this one right here is near and dear to me. It's home. This one is mental toughness. Train your mind to take you places you've never been, to counteract anger, fear, pressure, pain, and negativity in times of necessity. It is the innate ability to monitor and measure your positive or negative mental self-talk to determine the amount of superior versus inferior actions you will take during life's most challenging moments. I was challenged. I got to New York, walking Fifth Avenue. I was like, look, Kevin, you have made it. And then all of a sudden, I was surrounded by people from Duke, people from Cornell, people from Columbia, people from Harvard, people from Yale, people from Northwestern. They were like, man, you went to Florida State. What are you doing here? You don't have a skill set to be here. That's a football school. That's a party school. You can't hang with us. And I started believing it. It just fed into me. You're not good enough to be here. And I was
Whoa, Kevin, you can't talk bad about Florida State. I graduated from Florida State. So.
Well, I'm a two-time.
Don't knock the school with the person, the leader over here now.
No. Let me clean that up. Don't get offended. I'm a two-time Florida State grad. I'm proud, and I'm certainly wanted them to know that. Look, I wouldn't be here. David Stern himself, the late commissioner, wouldn't have hired me if he did not think that I had what it takes. So regardless whether you went to Cornell or you went to Florida State, I belong. But I struggled in the first 2 years because I had a little bit of trouble adjusting. I'm telling you this because sometimes we all will be new at a place, and there will be people who have a lot more experience, and they will kind of help, at least they think they're helping by establishing themselves with you and literally telling you that they came from here and did all these great things. I'm telling you that your mental has to stay strong in this, and this is how you do it. Let's move to the next slide. Part of it was demonstrate you don't have to make excuses. You're somewhere where you need to be. They wouldn't have hired you to do this job. So have a daring spirit, despite uncertainty and unknown challenges in this new job that you might have, or in a new role if you've been elevated, or if you got to make a big decision. You have to go into it with that. Act continuously without, act on it. Act, move on it. Don't stay stuck if you're having some sort of challenges. Act without showing or reduction in intensity, strength. Sometimes we have to have that grit to push through. Get up that morning. Go where you need to go. Push through that assignment. A lot of times I was giving up on myself, and it was just me kind of saying, oh, do I have what it takes? Do I not have what it takes? I had it. I just let that kind of get to me for that moment. So I'm telling you, remain firm and establish principles even when facing misfortune or difficult time. I began to say, you know what, I don't have to take this. I'm going to work on that and work on me and overcome weakness, prevail hardships, counter the challenges, and look for the wins, regardless of the situation or the people. I was letting people define me and not looking and focusing on my job at me. So what strategies do I have you? Build strong relationships and connections with a core group of people. Who are your core four at work? I want to challenge you. Do you have a core four, a C4 group of people? I ended up getting a mentor, and I kept on getting a few colleagues at work and friends outside, and that core four helped strengthen me along with my executive coach. And then when you're emotionally wounded, determine the real root of your fear and disappointment. My real root was like, I didn't think I was strong enough to be in New York City at first. And then when I realized I had everything at stake, I had been successful before that. I just wanted to make sure that I stayed successful. As they say, in this sort of thing, you got to stay strong and get to the good stuff. This little motto here, eat the chicken, spit out the bones, basically is like, the part that's good, keep it. The part that's not good, put it out. And that's what I did do. And I'm telling you to do that. And then take risks in areas where you may need some improvement. I needed to improve. I wrote it down. What I need to improve on, got a good executive coach. Guess what? I never met my executive coach. It was all a relationship by phone. It's amazing how just having one or two people in your corner could change the whole thing. So truly, this one here hits home. And let me just say this, that even in these tough times, it's good to have grit. It's good to have, resilience and positivity. But if you're struggling, I don't want you to struggle alone. There's lots of resources, there's lots of help to get you help in these times where things are challenging and more challenging than ever. Okay? Any questions on that? I see a lot of team spirit in here. I got Roll Tide and Knowles and stuff. You guys are having fun here, so good. Next slide. Passion. Man, this is one I love because a lot of times we have to have that drive, and it's possessing the drive to pursue what you desire most and realize it's non-negotiable to give up on your cause no matter the circumstance. Never gave up on the fact that I wanted to get to the highest level in sports and what I did, and I was able to get to the NBA. Never gave up on it when I started. A determination to give your love to the matter at hand is all that matters, and serves as the inner fabric of what drives you to be all that you've been called to be. Literally, passion is, I always think of it like the $5 million test or $10 million test. If someone gave you $5 or $10 million, what would you go do? Would you go just kind of sit on an island and just chill? Or whatever you were passionate about, would you pour into that, whether you had $1 or $10 million? And to me, I love the business of helping people transition and learn so much that I was willing to do it all through college. No fee. I used to mentor people to help them come into the university. And I realized there was a job behind that. So I became an advisor to athletes, helping them transition, go through, and go out. I love the business of helping people grow and develop. And I built it into every job that I had. How do I help people, organizations grow? And that I found my passion literally by mistake because I was helping people. And I was like, there's a business. Where can I find it in helping people? And that was starting out at one level and moving up higher and higher to the MBA and then starting my own firm. And I'm still to this day helping people help themselves like we're doing today, providing information that hopefully will help you help yourself. So that's my passion. What's yours? Finding that will be hopefully helpful to you on the next slide. So on the next slide, what are some of the actions that you want to do? Show strong excitement and zeal when completing things that you're passionate about. Like if you start something and you're completing it, and man, you have this like, woo, man, this thing is amazing. I love doing this. That's part of it. Displaying firmly fixed and unshakable disposition regardless of the circumstances. You love doing it no matter what. The circumstance, you don't have a lot of money. You don't have a lot of fans, a lot of support. A lot of people aren't behind you. You love doing it. That's what it matters. In your work and working with people. And then act with full and unconditional commitment to a person, place, ideal, or thing that you support. Your work, you should be passionate about it. Commit to it. Commit to where you are. Be there to support your teammates, and good things come out of that. And then align yourself with others who share similar passion and motivated by what you do. And then really, the strategies are identify the natural hidden talents, most likely you possess. Sometimes it's in there, you just haven't pulled it out. You got to really figure out what that is. Your passion some kind of comes from organic things that you do. So really try to find an aspect within your job that you really do well and excel in. And then locate a way to build your passion through the interests of groups that you work with. Maybe you want to build on that work that you do by finding other people in your organization who really do what they do well, and you guys come together and come up with new ideas because you're so passionate about it. You should be pushing out new ideas, new technologies, new strategies if you're really passionate about your work. If you're out in the field and you figure out a new way to do something, man, share that. Like that means you have passion, you have thought around something that's going to help move the company forward. Like that's a big deal. And if you're passionate about your work, you're always in a state of discovery. What else can I do? How else can we do it? What else can we do better? And then set a schedule to dedicate a specific amount of time. Like how much time are you putting into being great at what you do? You're passionate about it. How much time are we doing? Are we organizing ourselves even to read a little bit more, to look at another video, go see somebody who's better than you at it and see how they do it? Just like today, bringing people in like me who can help you sort of think about how to go after that and be better at what you do, because the company's passionate about helping its people get better. So they put in things like this to help people get better. It's very simple. And then find someone you admire in the field and truly desire to be like or with them and really learn from them. That helps develop passion. Like nobody really, until I met a guy named Dr. Gruders who became a lightning rod. I said, I want to be like him. I found somebody, I want to be like that, and he had a passion for it, and he made me even more passionate because I loved what he did. All right. And this one is really about how you look at it. Like I can't tell you exactly how to go get it, but I believe it's, passion is driven from within and within you. And you got to find that passion part about your job, passionate part about what you like working with people, and then go from there. And then the last one I want to kind of go through is the neutralizing negativity. Look, work is not easy. What I know about the 5 areas that you guys work in is, look, you always have to resolve issues because you're working externally. You've got a lot of people to answer to. So you have to act in a level of leadership, and these medallions sort of help you do that. But sometimes when it comes to negativity, is you've got to neutralize it. You got to push it down, and that takes all these things: mental toughness, the right attitude, confidence, passion. Like, look, this job can beat you down. I know it can. I know for some, it can be like you're working out on an island by yourself when you're out there. And I'm talking to somebody here. And then you have to realize that you have a support system, back at your home office, but sometimes you may not feel like you want to use that. So what I'm doing to try to help you is like use it. I'm encouraging you, if you haven't, try to use your supervisor or higher level of support systems in your organization to be better, to neutralize the negativity that you might have. All right. And then move from there to the next one. So let's let's move forward on the negativity definition. I forgot that. So look, it is take away the negative thoughts. Go back to the definition there. I'm sorry. It says take away negative thoughts, forces, and people in your life, and reversing your thinking to focus on positive thoughts and outcomes to achieve personal and professional success. Until you can say no to the negative, your life cannot fully receive the positive benefits of its line to come your way. So really working on that negative piece and pushing it down where it's not always up in your forefront will help you be better at managing what's in front of you. If you're always focused on the negative, you can't see past it, and you can't get to the good stuff. All right. On the next slide. So some of these tips is what I'm going to say is direct efforts and focus on your goals. Do not allow setbacks to throw you off course. You're going to have things that come your way. People are going to say things. Things may not happen out in the field the way you want. Do you let that be the main focus? You shouldn't. Know that things will happen and how you adjust to that with your attitude. And going back into it with confidence will help you in every way. Number two, do what you say you're going to do, regardless of the situation. We still need the job done everywhere in this company. You honor your part. Hopefully the company honors their part. Then you move forward. It's not always a perfect symbiotic relationship or dance. But if we continue to move in concert with each other, dance with each other, we literally create better chemistry. So also when you're not going well, show restraint and exercise and impulses. A lot of people go off. Try not to go off. Work on those desires and work them out. But also act in a moment notice to show control and do the right thing. Hopefully that's like the best thing I can suggest to action. Try to do the right thing. Even if someone's not done right by you in the work, try to not go back and do something negative that will take it away. The other thing I would say is, the strategy is try to forgive others for your own peace of mind. There's nothing worse being out on the road, feeling frustrated, feeling downtrodden, feeling, sort of alone, and you have no one to turn to. Try not to let that get to you and have, your peace of mind taken away. You're here for a job to do, try to work through those things by showing humility and say, look, that didn't work. Let me invite you to consider, like, this is, to me, a better way to address that issue. Try to rid yourself of the negativity. Negativity can be contagious, too. It's like a virus. It goes from one person to the next. So if we can nip that in the bud, try not to spread it. Like I said, put it out and invite you to consider is a way to do that. And then nurture relationships with those who give you the most positive energy. There are going to be some people just flat out a little more positive than others. Try to grow that, but also grow it into people who aren't as positive. So, to be honest, there's a lot here to draw on. And I would say that this one right here is the part that makes work a little challenging. And if we give it a 10 when it's really a 2, a lot of times we give stuff a 10. Let me repeat, when it's really a 1 or a 2, you can push it down and get to the good stuff and get to the outcome by using confidence. When you have a problem with somebody, be confident and say, I want to talk to you because I want to put myself in a position of wanting us to be better. That's a place of humility. And showing the good attitude, even if it's a negative, to say, hey, let's work through this, have passion with it, and then literally stay mentally strong. I believe you can get there. So these are some of the things I wanted to kind of share with you today. I'm hoping that some of these resonated with you. I want you to think of these like medallions that you put on. Remember Michael Phelps had like 8 or 9 medals on his chest? Imagine you put on a quick 6 of them today. So if you could imagine you got 6 medallions I just put on you, just like you see here, that would be pretty cool. Hopefully, maybe I can get to the other ones another time. But this is sort of what I see as a help to you all. Hopefully there's some good stuff that came out of this. Any questions as we are wrapping up here?
Kevin, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, I love a lot of your little quotes, like, beware the snare to compare. If we take that one, how do you balance that with competition, right? Because you need a measure to continue to hopefully drive yourself to the next level. But if you take away a lot of the comparisons, if you take away a lot of the pressures and those things, how are you truly pushing yourself forward?
I try to kind of keep a balanced approach, like knowing that, I want to get to where I want to be, but I don't want to do it in a sense of like trying to be someone else. I have my own version of it. Look, I read Stephen Covey, right? The Medallions sort of inspired that. I love him, but I'm not trying to be exactly like him. So I use it in a measure of, look, that's inspiration, but I'm going to take my level of it and make it work the way I believe it can work. And I do that in some of the people. I have competitors in this business, and I look at what they do, and I want to commend some of their work, and I look at it and I say, look, they're doing a great job. I'm not going to try to knock that, but I got this over here, I believe we're as competitive, we're as successful, and we're doing what we're doing in the way that we do it. And as long as I'm true and authentic to that, it allows me to stay motivated, it allows me to be encouraged. Even if they're doing that, I'm staying sort of with what I believe will work, and I'm validated by the business that I acquire. I'm validated by the reviews that we get. I'm validated by continuing to win contracts and knowing that our business is moving forward. And we've grown in a lot of different areas that because we had the sort of vision to push ourselves forward by being inspired by others, but not taking us off our mission, it allows me to have that competitive edge because I believe we're as good and we have what it takes to be successful. Even if I have a competitor in the same lane, I believe in what we're doing and they can do what they do, but we also getting our fair share because we're putting in the work and we're being committed and we're passionate about it. We're being consistent and we're organized and we're executing well. All those things help me know that as long as I'm doing that and I'm helping people grow and putting people to work like you guys are and they're able to feed their family, I know we're doing a good job. Anything else? Was that helpful? I just want to make sure I'm kind of tapping into a little bit of that.
No, it's definitely helpful. I guess I have one final question. Now we're at the top of the hour here. You mentioned your core four, and the selection of that core four, and to ensure that you're not getting yourself into an echo chamber, where you're just surrounding with people who are kind of thinking and doing the things that you believe. And how do you continue to expand your belief system and your ability to grow by not limiting yourself only to people who think like you?
I'm a guy of faith, and I think about, who would like run through the, bust down the door to come, get me if I was in trouble? Who would come and, make sure that I was taken care of and would call me out when, I'm not doing well? I think about that in terms of how I'm able to shape myself and be able to go forward in some of the stuff that I've been able to do. I think we all should challenge ourselves and say, who do I have in my core for that push me, that would run through the wall for me, that would come get me if I was in trouble, would come call me out, would push me and say, you can do this, you can do that. I think some of them are people that I work with. Sometimes they're people outside of work. So I think also the question is, I'll go a little further, Scott, is whose core four are you in? Who calls you in terms of thought and leadership and guidance? You should be as wanting to serve and give as much as yourself. It helps sharpen, iron sharpens iron. So I believe in having that. Also, who at work can you rely on and who at work relies on you? So if you can think like that, as much as good to go out and have your four, but think about this, who can I be able to support and bless and give as much as I'm giving to them or getting from them, I'm giving back in some form or fashion.
Thank you, sir.
Not a problem. Well,
Sir, we had a question for you earlier, and it's not really my question, but I'm putting it out there anyways. Byron, I'm calling my own director out. He wanted to know, how do you balance between having confidence and displaying humility?
I think for me, I'm able to walk a fine line because I know I need a measure of both, right? So if I don't act with confidence, then I'm sort of not able to get going what I have in my head. It keeps me stagnant. So I do have to push myself, but I don't overimpose myself. And I think that's a bit of the humility that I'm always kind of careful to have a measure of diplomacy with that, meaning that when I talked about it's okay to be confident, but don't be over cocky or arrogant. And that's where that humility balances me back out and say, okay, watch out, Kevin, you might have offended somebody. You just elbowed them in the paint, you hit them in the ribs. So back off the next time, approach that a little bit better than what you just did by saying, okay, no, I want to hear you out. Like, what do you have, or what can I do to help support what you're doing? I think knowing that you don't want to just totally sit on the sideline, you want to get in the game, but you don't want to hog the ball all the time, because you do need to allow other people to help you win, and you win together, not just on your own. I look at it like that, so you can balance it out. Like, LeBron James is good, but he needs the other four guys, or else they don't go very far, right? So I'm not LeBron James, by the way. No, I'm not that. I might be on certain days LeBron James in what I do, but most of the time I need other people to help me do what I do. Is that helpful?
I thought it was. Thank you, sir. I know that in our home or family, we preach family and team, and everyone's got to work together, and we've got to help each other. And not necessarily you're only as strong as your weakest link, which we've all heard that one, but we all have to be there to support each other, even when we're doing great, because it's not like you're getting to that greatness on your own. You've got those people behind you going, that a girl, that a boy, you're doing this, you've got this. So you have to be a little bit, I know I'm very confident. It always comes off confidence, and it comes off arrogance a lot, but I'm also not afraid to say, you know what? I don't know that. So educate me, take this opportunity. It's on you. Can I better serve you? What can I do to grow? What can I do to be better at, at recruiting or whatever it is I'm doing? So even parenting, as wife, all those things, because we all wear multiple hats, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I appreciate that. It was great insight there to kind of make sure the balance is there, not overdoing it. So, and some of these things in the chat are so funny. You guys, I can tell the banter is a little fun there. MJ did need Scotty. He needed more than that. He needed Big Luke in the middle. He needed Kuzcos. Come on now. And he needed other guys in there. So go ahead. I'm having fun back with you. But that's sports talk. So I'm a sports guy. You throw it out there, I'm going to take it. What else? Any other questions? Well, this has been amazing for me. It's a great chance to really, again, thank you to the ProVantage leadership. And again, Dr. Kavar, thanks for thinking of Pro the CEO. I do have a team behind me, but this time I get to kind of represent our brand and our organization. Be more than honored to help again when the time is ever needed. All right. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone joining. Thank you again, Kevin.
You're quite welcome. Thanks for having me. Be well, be blessed. Take care.